good morning. It's Friday, the 17th of February, 2023. My name is Steve Pugh, and this is the Roadmap MBA Livestream that we do. Well, I do my show once a week, but we also have Ashley and Tony and some other people that present on the channel too. And basically what we do and what we choose to talk about is talk about really interesting stuff that's happened through the week, but also pick out some topics which hopefully might be topical and you might find interesting. And these all kind of get clipped up and go onto YouTube as well. One of the things that we're really keen to do, and it's something that we've really spent a lot of time thinking about, is that in the rise and advent of Chat GPT, we're essentially, in my opinion, the era of charging for information is over. I think that point is where you can literally go on now and say, tell me the best way to write a business strategy based on common theory. Bang, and it'll tell you. And actually you can get really clever. And you can even ask it to give you the references and do all this kind of cool stuff. But the point is, with an online business course like we have, so we've got the Roadmap MBA, we're in 49 different countries now. But one of the things that we want to then acknowledge that the world has changed just in the past kind of 3 to 6 months. And what we really like to do is share the human story behind what we're doing, how we're doing it. And one of the big things that we're really starting to play on as a bit of a USP is that, yes, we're mega proud of the content of what we do. We have the app which launched last week as well. But the real USP that we're looking at is the ability to ask questions and get in touch and really kind of get that feedback. So on the app, there's an ask the question button and it literally comes through to me. We do live streams where we share our genuine journey, and Tony and Ashley, and hopefully our new presenters when they come on as well, do the same. But it's that balance of often people around the world are going through their own careers or businesses or whichever. And actually, especially on Instagram and LinkedIn, everyone always seems to be perfect and things go brilliantly and that kind of thing. And the truth is, in the real world, that's not true. So what we want to do is talk about stuff that we've done this week that hopefully you might resonate with. And then actually over the next kind of 3-4 years, if we actually do quite well, you will have been able to see the journey as we kind of go through. So my name's Steve. I'm a chartered mechanical engineer as my kind of background. I'm the founder and CEO of Roadmap MBA, so this is my kind of baby. And basically we are on a mission to make business education and training accessible to 5 billion people worldwide. And the reason for that is because basically business education and the skills that you can learn have genuinely changed my life from growing up. And what we want to do is make that accessible to, well, 5 billion people in a way that traditional business schools and that kind of thing are fantastic. If you can afford to go, they're amazing, and do it and, you know, have a great time. But the truth is, I think 97% of the world's population can't access the traditional methods of business education and training. So what we try and do is really simplify it down. We actually have a completely free tier, so you can be in Indonesia, Kenya, Ukraine, Afghanistan, Iraq, and learn completely for free over the app. There's no pay walls, there's no barriers, no whichever. And you also get a personalized roadmap to track your progress as well. And what we do is cover the complete roadmap again to help you grow your business career, from like goal setting to personal branding. We do 3 modules on business strategy. We do 1 on marketing, 3 on sales, we do leadership and management, and some financial intelligence as well. But the idea is, what we're looking to do is give you a solid baseline over all of the skills that you need in your career that will help complement everything that you currently do. But the point is, as long as you've actually got one of these, you can join on the bus when your kids that have got soccer practice. You can join from anywhere in the world. It's just for 2 minutes to learn different things. And I promise you, it's good stuff. As a management consultant, I get paid to do this kind of thing. And what we've really done is strip out anything which is not practical and useful, particularly for small businesses, because often you have to make a real impact quickly, that you can't just take 2 years off work to go and do a full-time course, that actually you would go bust and run out of money in the meantime. So that's where we really kind of try and focus. So on today's live stream, I've got a few things I'm going to cover. We're going to talk about, actually, is the EU trying to ban Chat GPT? There was various headlines and stuff which came out this week. I'm really interested to ask the question, and actually if you get involved, the questions and the comments do show up on screen as well, so I love it when you kind of get involved. Is working from home dead? It's a genuine question. Through the pandemic, for obvious reasons, most of us did, but actually a lot of firms now are asking people to go back to the office, and has that honeymoon period gone? I know some firms are still obviously doing it, but it's just that balance of, I want to ask the question. I'm going to share some tips about how I actually get motivated. You know, it's hard when you're trying to launch your own business and to get up every day and work really hard to earn some money, which I then spend on the business and try and grow something. But there's certain things that I do which I just wanted to share and talk about. So actually I've taken some things off my wall in the office, because this is my actual office where I work every day. The lights aren't always on, you know, like this, but actually, yeah, this is my office. And then also for a client, I've been doing some interviewing recently as we're looking to grow the business. And I just wanted to share some interview red flags, some things that are real positives and really great stuff. And I've really met some really great people. Other people maybe could have done better. So what I wanted to do was basically talk about these kind of things. But it is 8:53 here in the UK. This is actually live. I'm based in the northeast of England, but we're also quite fortunate that where England sits on the globe, we're kind of in the middle. So what that means is that we can actually hopefully reach people in Thailand, Australia now. It's about 6 p.m, 5 p.m, so it's a little bit later in the evening. And also later on today, obviously the USA kind of wakes up. But welcome to anyone in the world. If you want to check out Roadmap MBA, you can search for us in the App Store. The app is completely free. But also if you go onto roadmapmba.com, you can actually create an account and start learning completely for free. No ads, no catches, no nasties, nothing. Just go on, check out, and actually what we've done is spell out the whole curriculum, and the whole point is that you can kind of pick and choose whatever it is that you want to learn, in whatever order it is that you want to learn it. Because actually, although we do have CPD accreditation and you can get a certificate, it's more, at least for me, it's more important about the skills to actually make a real impact and make more money in your business or career than it is to just get another certificate. As someone that's been to university a few times, don't get me wrong, I love that, and I love the background and the training that I got to do that. But the truth is, it's really expensive. And actually that holds back a lot of people. That I was fortunate enough, because I'm 39 now, that when I went, UK fees were £1,500 a year, because the rest was subsidised by the government. A few years later, it went up to £9,000 a year. But if you do a 4 or 5 year course, that's a hell of a lot of money. And there's talk now of university fees potentially in the UK going up to international levels, which is like 20,000 plus. And the truth is that will, you know, price out almost all normal people, because, you know, nobody has to spare £100,000. That's the price of a house. That actually what we're looking to do is give an option to people that can't maybe access those options, just to help them upscale and do whatever it is that they want to do. Okay, so I am admittedly a bit of a tech nerd. I love technology, I love cameras, I love lighting, I love stuff. As an engineer, that's probably not too much of a surprise, but actually I just enjoy it. I like working with new stuff. I like iPhones, watches, whatever. That's kind of my thing. So when, I think, was it December? There was at some point Chat GPT started to get mentioned. And as you do, you ignore it for a little bit, then you jump on the bandwagon and you go and check it out. So if you search for Chat GPT, you can actually create a completely free account. I recommend it if you haven't actually tried it to go and try it. And essentially what you have, this is the first public major step to rolling out artificial intelligence as a tool for people to use. Through through watching videos of the people that run these companies, they're actually purposely taking their time to roll this out, not because the technology is not ready, but because people might get scared and then backlash and almost block everything. And actually, in some ways, that's kind of started to happen. So Chat GPT, if you haven't used it, it's essentially like having a personal assistant. If you've ever watched Iron Man, in the film Iron Man, he has Jarvis, which he talks to verbally, and he asks him to do stuff, and it just goes away and does it, gives him the answer. And it's really good. You could use this if you're still at school or at college to cheat on exams, courses and tests, because actually you could say, write me a 1,000-word essay on the modern marketing theories and use the Harvard referencing system and put the references at the bottom. You can literally type that in, press send, and it will go away and do its thing and come back to you with a perfectly written, often, thing that you could then tweak yourself. But the point is, this is free and it's currently available, and it will just change the world. I've started to use Chat GPT quite a lot with the website, so with roadmapmba.com. One of the things that I'm starting to put a much bigger focus on is SEO and backlinks and web traction, and even just web performance of what we're looking to do. And actually, I use it to help write SEO optimized blogs on different topics, and actually use that to do the heavy lifting, which then I tweak and then put onto the website, and then I go into Google Search Console to then index. One of the big things that we are starting to push for ourselves as a unique selling point for the roadmap is basically personalized learning plans. You might have noticed in previous weeks we were tempted to call this mentor, but I don't think that quite said what it was. But the idea is that most business courses have a fixed curriculum that you start at day one, you go through it in order, and then you come out at the end with some skills and a certificate. But actually in the real world, depending on the challenges that you face, you might actually be better off jumping straight to maybe module 9 on sales, because that's the actual challenge that you want. So what we wanted to do is come up with a tool that can ask you questions, and what we're looking to do is solve your problems in the same way a management consultant would. So it's the same way I would if I verbally spoke to you, in a way to direct you to different things. But as a prime example, on Tuesday this week, I logged on to Chat GPT and basically said, can you write an article which is 1,000 words on the personal learning plans, why they're good, and how we can use them for the Roadmap MBA? And I told it what the Roadmap MBA was, so that our mission was to make business education accessible. And then what it went to do over the next minute was churn out a very good SEO optimized blog for personalized learning plans on the Roadmap MBA, which then I could put on the website and use. And why this is really important is that it's a tool that people can use, and you also have different AI tools, which I haven't really used yet, which can do images. People are starting to talk about video, but this is also quite scary, that if you are a copywriter, or you're a video creator, or you create art or whichever, there's a potential that something could come in which disrupts your industry. And actually, I saw some commentary yesterday from a friend who is a copywriter, who was commenting on Chat GPT, talking about how she didn't believe that it was a threat to her business. It will just make her life easier. But that's for her how she uses it. The issue is, if her clients, or say if I was looking to maybe hire a copywriter, but now I don't have to, it will still have an impact. The trick would be to then, for a copywriter to adapt their business model to use it as a tool, but your pricing and your previous ways of doing business might have to change to relate to this. So anyway, so coming back to the topic, this week there has been EU potential regulation where people are starting to discuss that should, within the European Union, they ban Chat GPT until they understand its real impacts and what it could do for job displacement and lots of different stuff. And whilst I understand that the European Union want to do that to help protect workers and really get a feel for the technology and limit its potential impact, what it's actually going to do is mean that in other parts of the world that could be outside the EU, so it could be China, it could be India, it could be the US, it could be anywhere, you are giving those countries a competitive advantage in certain areas that you're limiting and preventing European, I guess the UK is now outside of Europe, but you're actually hurting yourself through taking away a tool that people can use, because actually it's not a global ban, it's just in certain regions. And it was just that balance of, whenever you launch something new, the actual companies behind the AI are mega keen to slowly build it in and make people comfortable with it, and actually roll out different features so people don't get spooked and scared. But the irony is that government legislation could actually torpedo what they want to do, and that's kind of outside of their hands. Within the course, we talk about pestle analysis, which is looking at all of the political, economic, social, technological changes, etc., which can impact your business. And actually, government regulation is a massive one that can impact. So you could actually have the best AI tool in the world, but actually, you could have your business just stopped by government regulation, which could really impact you. But the thing that I wanted to kind of talk about is that actually people are going to find a way around it. So that if you've ever heard of a VPN, it's a way, a virtual personal network, to actually pretend to log onto the internet from England, but make the internet think that you're in Venezuela. And my point is that people will just get around this by using something like a VPN to still use these tools. And I just think it's naive in some ways to blanket try and ban the tools which can actually positively impact business. But the issue is it's how it's done that essentially I think the genie is out of the bottle. There will be massive disruption in a lot of different industries, including education, which is why we're looking to pivot in a slightly different way. But the point is, doing nothing or simply trying to ignore it or ban it or block it won't actually get the genie back in the bottle. But actually, it's a really important topic that if, I'd love to know actually, do you use Chat GPT? What have you used it for? I know a lot of people use it for coding and actually trying to debug stuff, and it is a very clever kind of tool, but it's essentially, it's as good as the stuff that you put into it. But it was just something that I wanted to kind of mention. So yeah, so with the EU looking at tougher regulation, and basically they're looking to create an AI regulatory framework for what things can and can't do, and to make sure, at least as much as they can, to make sure there's no inbuilt bias and that kind of thing, which could actually turn negative. But again, this is all just based on risk and fear, that the worry is an organization, be it the EU or someone else, blocks a technology which actually other people in rival competitive nations, Russia, China, whoever, actually has used too, and it actually hurts you in the long run. So my name's Steve Pugh. If you catch this on YouTube, please kind of like and subscribe. We cover business and related content on this channel. And yeah, thank you for your time. Cool. Okay. I'm just going to have a sip of coffee because actually I gave my wife a lift into work today, and she kindly got me a Starbucks, which is brilliant. So it's my first one in a while. Other stuff that I always try and give you an update on stuff that we've done. I've actually been interviewing and speaking to potential new presenters for the channel, which is amazing. I'm really actually flattered that people even consider doing it, because this a long time ago was just an idea, but actually what we're trying to do is give a platform to different voices around the world. So basically all of our presenters have complete reign to talk about whatever they want. And what we want is to get the views of 15, 16-year-olds, 18, 19-year-olds from all around the world. Plus, obviously, I'm 39, so I'm a little bit older. But the idea is we can build a better community if actually we talk about different key issues. And I can't put myself in the mind of a 19-year-old female student growing up in Taiwan who wants to go on and start a business and maybe learn in America. But what we want is to give people a platform where they can share their story, share their struggles, and actually together try and build a community to help people learn and earn and grow kind of together. But it's just been quite cool to interview some people about that. So yeah, we're in 49 countries now, which is we added Kazakhstan and Iraq this week, which is quite cool. So welcome to anyone that's joined. We actually had the Rihanna halftime show on Sunday for the Super Bowl. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. What I thought was really impressive was, for one, she was pregnant, but actually, it's a personal thing. I went to a Foo Fighters gig quite a few years ago, and Dave Grohl, who's the lead singer, in front of a crowd, I think it was like 50, 60,000 people, but he's so good at his craft, he's so well practiced, that he literally had the whole arena in the palm of his hand, and he was comfortable, and it was amazing to watch. And one of the things that I loved was basically when watching Rihanna, in theory with the biggest audience she'll probably ever have, just so comfortable. She just smashed it. She was confident. She even got in a plug for her Fenty makeup line. But it was a brilliant show. But actually, I thought it ticked so many different boxes. Probably quite interesting to see that the NFL is probably trying to diversify away from their traditional audience, try and bring in, a different audience. That last year you also had, was it Dr. Dre and Snoop and lots of rap artists. This year it was Rihanna. And it's just how people are changing. But I just genuinely love to watch people perform and just nail it. I think there's something quite inspiring about that. Okay. So with the pandemic, the world changed because previously we all went to school in classrooms, we all went to university in classrooms, and often we went to work in offices or factories. That's how the world has worked for 120, 150 years. And actually, it kind of worked, but there were a lot of negatives to it. The negatives included commitments, childcare, basically getting to work, commutes, but then you've got the carbon emissions and all that, you've got the cost of all of that, lack of flexibility, and there was all these different things. So the pandemic hits in 2020. I always get confused because it's COVID-19, but the pandemic hits in 2020. We obviously, most of the world locks down. We get used to that, and actually it was a really weird 2 years where you had to stay in your household bubble here in the UK. So you could only see some people, you couldn't see your family, and therefore you had to almost work remotely and just kind of get through. But it was a weird period. I think there'll be a period of kind of people starting to self-adjust and trying to figure out how it's impacted them. And, you know, I still kind of feel it now. Anyway, as you went through 2022, and it was kind of June last year, at least in the UK, we started to open up again. Restrictions on flights dropped, and what I'd say is people start to get back to normal. And one of the common assumptions for a lot of different workplaces, especially professional related workplaces where you have the potential to work from home, often people went into like a hybrid model where essentially you might work from home 3 days a week, come into the office 2 days a week, where actually you have more face-to-face interaction with your team, certainly more than you had during the pandemic, but you still retain some of the benefits of working from home, that you get all the extra flexibility and lack of travel costs and that kind of thing. I think as we move forward, the issue is human nature. We always go back to what we know, and you will have a lot of businesses, excuse me, oh God, you'll have a lot of businesses around the world that have expensive offices and stuff that they've invested in, or that they just genuinely believe that it's better to have people together, to collaborate together, work on different stuff together. And what they're trying to do is encourage people to get back to work. But what's interesting, and there was an article which I think was on Forbes this week, there was a lady that had a remote working contract. She actually bought a house 1,000 miles away from where her office is. And then the firm has changed their mind and basically said, look, we want you to now come into the office. And this won't be a one-off case. There will be thousands, if not millions of these cases where actually people have kind of got used to working from home. They probably quite like it. I think a lot of people like the mix. So you like a mix of both. But actually it's just the question of, has working from home now died? Or how do we as a society kind of find the right fit? The other thing as well is that you have new initiatives like the 4-day work week, which people are trying to bring in. And can you be as productive in 4 days as you traditionally were in 5 to give you more time off? But the caveat and why I think this kind of falls down for the firms that I know that are starting to bring it in, they're just asking you to work more hours in a shorter time to do the same amount of productivity and work. That in theory, you're just going to burn out harder, faster, worse in those 4 days, not in the 5. And I'm just not sure about how this is all kind of play out. But it was just from an employer's point of view, from when we employ kind of people as well. There are lots of benefits to actually employ people and have that day-to-day interaction. So I'm an engineer. I work with firms that make manufactured goods. That when you make a physical product, often you need to go and check it and measure it and speak to the team and have meetings and do lots of stuff. But there's an element of where you actually have to go and physically inspect stuff and see what's made and get rid of stuff. And actually, the other side to it as well, especially for white collar jobs. If you work in a business where there is a blue collar element, so basically you have an actual production line or workforce who makes stuff, there's still an element that they still need leadership. So actually you can't really have a business that doesn't have leadership, and it's a really difficult one to try and decide what's appropriate for different industries. Where I genuinely think that this is going to go is that you have some people, and actually I guess I fall into this, that I love working with people. I see the benefits of being able to work from home, but it's that kind of 80-20 where basically 80% of the time is working with people, getting the most out of it, because it's all of the little chats over coffee and actually just asking people and picking up the phone. I think creates a better workplace, but it's actually more productive. But the point is, I think you're going to get people that actually appreciate that. And people that appreciate that work offer will probably gravitate towards firms and jobs that do that route. I think you're also going to get people that want the opposite. So they want 80% or 100% at home. And I think what you're going to find is at the moment you will have people that want to work from home, but they're contracted in to a job that now wants them to go back to the office. And I think they will end up just quitting that job and going to a different job back in the office or whatever it is. But the point is, I think we'll just split into two different camps of different things, because you're never going to be able to keep everyone happy. But I also think that now, as the world starts to go back to normal, a lot more firms will want people to go back to the office, because it's up to the leadership about how you get to react to people and build a strong relationship. And I actually do think that is better in person. But you're just going to have this split. But I'd love to know for yourself, do you work from home? Do you work in office? What do you prefer? Do you like a mix? And actually, I'd love to know the benefits that you have kind of found through working from home as well. And actually, just does that work for you? And also, what do you think is the future of work? Because essentially, if you are a leader in a business, you kind of get to decide what people do and what your team should do. And actually, there are no obvious right or wrong answers. But it would be really interesting just to hear your views and opinions. If you catch this on YouTube, please kind of like and subscribe. So my name's Steve, and we cover a lot of business and entrepreneurship type stuff on this channel. And cool. Okay. Just as some background, so with one of my friends, we actually recorded some video earlier in the week for a project that we're working on. And it was funny, when you had two microphones, often one person's voice will get picked up on the other one, you get this echo. And it was that balance where I'd wanted to invest for a while in some new microphones to allow us to have different presenters or two presenters or different kind of feedback stuff. And basically I just went out and bought it, because actually I'd wanted it for a while, but it was just something that we found this week, that basically we recorded this video on Monday. I went to do the edit Monday night and I just heard this horrendous echo and I was like, oh my God. So I actually spent Tuesday morning dubbing myself, my own voice over my own video to get this thing done. And it was just, these things happen. And again, even as someone that kind of knows quite a lot about technology and setups and has all of this, you still get stuff wrong and it's never kind of easy. But it was just something I wanted to kind of mention and just talk about the honest stuff kind of for our journey. And then likewise as well, something that we have on the roadmap is that we have up to 9 live sessions a week. And actually we have 4 drop-in classroom sessions as well. So UK times, we have 3 p.m. Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Tuesdays, 7 a.m. on Thursdays. And we also do a midday Friday session as well. And basically you can come and drop in and ask me some questions and work on different stuff. And the whole point, as I mentioned before, is that the USP for what we're looking to build with the roadmap is that we do think that the era of just providing information is dead, because it's now commoditized, especially with Chat GPT and AI, that you can just find whatever you want in the world instantly. So rather than bank on that, we want to build on the interaction to actually ask, but how do I use this? How have other people used it? And kind of build that community around that angle. And basically 4 times a week that we do those. And if you log on to roadmapmba.com, you can create a completely free account and you can join via the kind of dashboard as well. Okay. So one of the most popular topics on YouTube for various different stuff is about inspiration and motivation. A lot of people want to know how to make money and how to get up and do stuff, and basically that kind of content starts to do really well. Traditionally, I've always just talked about stuff that I thought was interesting, that was relating to stuff that happened in the world that week. But the truth is that isn't what people search for, so therefore it isn't what people get views for. So actually something I wanted to do, is I'm trying to get better myself for the YouTube channel, is actually search for what do people do, what are the Google search trends, what are the YouTube search trends, and then actually just share my own honest opinion on these kind of things. So one of the first things about actually how do I get motivated, that when you run your own business, it is tough, it is hard. You have days where you just can't be bothered and you can't get up, or you have a client shouting at you or whatever. And it's a really tough gig. But often if you work for a company, you have this support mechanism around you, which kind of protects you a little bit, but especially if you work for yourself. It's tough. It really is tough. So what I wanted to do was share some of the things that I kind of do, which work for me. I'd love to know what works for you. And if you get involved in the comments, it should pop up on the screen as well. So the first one, it's all about the mission. So for us and for the Roadmap MBA, what we're looking to do is make business, education and training accessible to 5 billion people. That, to be honest, me growing up, but even my friends and family and lots of people that I know want to learn, grow and develop, but the current options are too expensive. They take too much time. You need certain grades or academic qualifications to even get in. You're based in the wrong part of the world. And there are lots and lots of barriers which prevent people from accessing business education. And one of the things that really kind of drives me is that I'm not sure that if I didn't do this, that anyone else ever would, because actually there's a lot involved to kind of set things up and write the book and write the whole curriculum and put a ton of money into it and create the studio and create the products and the app and stuff. When largely it is a passion project. Yes, we want to be a commercial business, but actually the mission of actually trying to help people is what gets me excited, because actually, say if I stopped doing this, there's going to be a lot of people that no longer have options to really help learn business education and training, that actually I want to solve that problem in the world, or at least try. So that's something that kind of gets me. There's two other things which I want to talk about first. One of them in particular, basically it's positive. So positive associations and positive affirmations. I'm not a particularly kind of woo-woo person that believes in a lot of different stuff, but actually, serendipity or not, often when you tell people your plans or what you want to do, or you create a vision board or a mood board, magically, sometimes it seems to work and come true. I know Ashley that presents on this channel has a vision board, and part of that actually makes me think that is the simulation real, and actually are we even here? Does the world even exist? And is the simulation there just to keep us sane, if that makes sense? Anyway, forget all of that. But actually, positive affirmations and actually positive associations with good events kind of in your life, I've always believed in that. And actually, if you've ever heard of something called Pavlov's dogs, there's something called classical conditioning, where basically if you have good experiences that you associate with something, if you hear the thing or the trigger, it can make you feel a positive thing. So in Pavlov's dog example, they had a pack of dogs, and basically they would ring a bell, and then after they've rang the bell, they would feed the dogs. And what they gradually learned is that over time, the dogs would start to salivate on hearing the bell, assuming that they're going to get the food, even if they don't get the food. The point is, a trigger can actually emote a physical or emotional response. The same is also true with trauma. So basically, if you had a really traumatic experience where you had felt experience of maybe something bad that happened, that could be associated with a song or a movie or lots of other, a smell, lots of other kind of different things, that in the future, if you ever hear that song or something triggers you, that can help you feel, even if you don't want it to, the negative emotions from the thing you felt in the past. One of the things that I kind of semi-consciously did, so last June, my wife and I, we went to San Francisco and LA. It was a once-in-a-lifetime trip. We were really looking forward to it. It was post-COVID. You know, let's face it, nobody knew if we were going to live through COVID. So it was like, no, let's book this really great trip. And one of the big things for me is that I purposely upgraded us to kind of business class flights. So literally a life dream. We grew up quite poor in a city called Liverpool, UK. And actually there were certain things that were always held out of reach that I thought I would never achieve. One was buy a really nice car, which I was fortunate enough to do when I was younger. But the other one was to sit at the front of a plane. I mean, literally the front of a plane in like the business class, first class seats, the fully reclining beds, and actually just do that for like a big transatlantic flight. Because in theory, especially growing up, that was something that was so out of reach, that was just this magical thing that you'd always get on the plane and turn right. And I didn't even know what was down there. It was a really kind of big thing. And then after launching the startup and launching the business, it was something that I wanted to really do as a personal goal and achievement. And actually I kept it a secret from my wife until the day before, and then I told her. But anyway, But on that trip, for me, it was a real life achievement that I was really kind of proud that I'd done it and I got to that point. But also at the time, there was a new album by Swedish House Mafia called Paradise Again. And it's a really upbeat EDM dance track album. And at the time, I just remember I had it in my headphones. We were about to take off and it was just blaring away. And I was really enjoying both the emotional feeling of achieving a major life goal, but I actually kind of linked it to the music. And now if I'm ever really struggling for motivation or what I'm kind of trying to do, I put the music on. And what's quite funny is that now when I put that album on, especially if I put it on loud and just really enjoy it, it takes me back to that point of that flight and that feeling of achievement and all that kind of stuff. That was it's a major thing for me. And actually I now use that to tap into when I'm feeling a bit down, I'm not really feeling something that I really want to get myself in a good state. And my point and my recommendation is that if you ever get to that point where you achieve something or you want to go through something that you're really proud of and happy with, if you can, try and associate it with your favorite music and really, link the two through listening to the music at the time and that kind of thing. Because actually now for the rest of your life, you've kind of conditioned yourself, a bit like Pavlov's dogs, that actually you can listen to that music. It puts you back into that state that for me just gives me pride and happiness and motivation, and that kind of works for me. And it was something that I wanted to talk about. Two last things which I'm now fortunate enough to do just because of the position I'm in the startup and that kind of thing, is that I have idols growing up. One in particular was a guy called Kobe Bryant. So I'm a basketball player, I'm a basketball fan, have been since I was probably about 12 and that kind of thing. And Kobe Bryant was always my idol, not just because he was really good, but actually his work ethic. He did a lot of stuff outside of business. When he retired, he actually started multiple different businesses, but it was all about empowering underrepresented communities to get into different things of film and media and that kind of thing. But really smart, really inspirational guy, and he was an idol for me growing up. But he also had the Mamba mentality, which was his way that it's all about the end goal. If it helps you get towards the goal better, so for him it was winning NBA championships, he would do it. He would, no complaints, nothing, and everything was built towards that. And I've always kind of loved that, and a lot of people online do celebrate Mamba mentality type stuff. But as a reminder for me is that when I'm in this office and I'm struggling a little bit, I treated myself recently. So basically, this is a signed NBA Kobe Bryant picture. It's got a nice little hologram, got a certificate on the back. But actually, it's that balance of now, if I'm ever struggling a bit or I'm just doing some stuff, and I actually think, and I joked about this on Ashley's live stream the other day, is what would Kobe do? And it's that balance of Kobe Bryant's Mamba mentality to really help drive towards a goal. I have a passion with, because it's something I've also grown up with. And as silly it sounds, although he only touched that piece of paper for probably 3 seconds, to me it means quite a lot, if that makes sense. And it's one of those things that kind of I use to get motivated. And the other guy that is more recent, a guy called David Goggins. And actually, if you've read his book, this guy had a really tough upbringing, like really tough. His stepfather was murdered. He was massively overweight. He really kind of changed his life around. And the way that he did that was through basically just stop complaining. He really challenges himself, and he does a lot of content online to do with motivation and different stuff. So again, for the office, which I've taken off the wall for this, is basically I also treated myself to a signed David Goggins. I'd say it's a book. It's also got the Navy SEAL kind of crest in the middle. But basically his catchphrase is stay hard. But actually, again, Goggins is famously unforgiving in terms of kind of his motivations and people wanting to turn their life about. That actually, if you're not that fussed, he doesn't care, and I don't care, that if you want to start a business but you're not willing to put the time and effort in, fine, stop complaining about it. Just that's what you've chosen to do. But if you genuinely want to reach the top, Goggins is similar to Kobe in some ways, that it's just stop complaining, just do it. So these are actually on my back wall, so they actually sit near the bookshelf that you can see. And then just throughout the day, if I'm ever like, oh, do I just go home? Do I not? I look at Kobe, I look at Goggins, and I just crack on. But for me, that works. But actually, it doesn't matter what works for me. It's what could work for you. But especially with the positive affirmations and actually the positive associations with music from a major life experience, that is something that gets me amped, that gets me hyped. And actually, it was just something I wanted to talk about. But my name is Steve Pugh, and if you catch this on YouTube or LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook or lots of others, I'd love it if you just say hello in the comments, and I'd love to know what works for you, what gets you excited, and actually, yeah, that would be awesome as well. Okay. So what time are we on? 9:28. So how's everyone's week been? I must admit, I know it's been a long week, lots of stuff going on, but actually I like Fridays because this is my chance to reflect. And actually I've had some really good meetings this week, which is cool as well. I really love reaching out to a lot of the corporate partners that we want to start working with. I've been doing a lot of charity outreach to different people because again, what we're looking to do, am I allowed to say? I guess so. Like people like the Prince's Trust, there's about 900,000 young people a year, especially with entrepreneurship and that kind of thing as well. But basically what I've said to them is that I love what you do. I love that you're a non-profit. I love that you're looking to help improve people's lives. And I will happily give you free access to everything. I've got some meetings set up with, it's actually a US veterans organization that I have massive respect for the military, as proven by kind of David Goggins. And I've got signed stuff by Jason Fox, Nat Middleton, and a few others as well. But it's that balance of where it's just partnering with good people that are trying to do good things. It's something that I've been up to this week. So if I've done any outreach, hopefully you don't mind me reaching out, but it's all about trying to just do good things in the community and really trying to help people. Okay. So in my day job as a management consultant, basically people hire me to grow and turn around their companies. That's what I get paid to do, to go in and identify what their problems are, then figure out how to solve them, then actually do it to solve them. There's a lot of companies looking to recruit at the moment, which I think isn't uncommon. I think everyone kind of knows that. But actually, it's been more difficult than most people think to actually recruit good people to a business because actually, in theory, it's a buyer's market. So for instance, if you're a candidate, there are probably more people there are more people offering jobs than there are people looking. So therefore, salaries and stuff have started to go up. But because of that, what started to happen is that you have a lot of people just touting themselves around for jobs and trying to get paid more money, which I understand. But almost as an employer that is hiring these people and speaking to them, in the past month, I've probably interviewed 20 plus people, genuinely. And actually, there have been certain things that people do really well and certain things which are terrible, like major red flags that I just wanted to talk about in a really kind of quick segment before I finish. So the first one, I've actually had people say to me on interview, so, why are you interested in this position? Why are you interested in the company? Well, actually, I'm just looking to try and get some more money. And it's, at least lie to the interviewer that you're passionate about the topic and you want to work in that industry. And so just saying to someone, which is, it's true, but just saying that you're just touting to see what else is out there is not going to inspire people to hire you for your business. And actually, do not do that. The next is a lack of research. One of the things that I always ask people again is that, so have you looked at the company? Have you looked at our products? Have you looked at what we do? Again, I spoke to one guy and he actually just said to me, no, I've been too busy. I haven't even looked. Don't apply for a job and at least get through to interview and not even look on their website to get a feel for what they do. Or if you do that, at least lie to the guy to say, yeah, it looks really interesting. You do subsea energy products and you do this, this, and this. But at least be smart enough to lie to the person and pretend that you've done some research on the company. Having not done any research on the company and really, even look into what they do, major red flag for recruiting. Yeah, likewise, when you obviously have a video call with someone, which is often the main first step, the interviewer can see you as well. And if they can tell that you don't look that interested, or if you meet with someone in person, I'm a big fan on body language. So being able to actually look at how open people are they interacting? Are they excited? You can see their facial expressions. If you literally look bored, like you don't want to be there, these people are not going to offer you a job. You are not doing them a favor. But the point is, if you're looking for a job, like seem interested, give them some attention, lean forward. There's lots of things on body language which you can look at. But if it comes across to the interviewer that you don't care, you're not getting the job. So that's a major kind of red flag. If you're late to an interview, or you keep wanting to change the date and you want to show a lack of flexibility, that for me, growing up, I wanted to be a basketball player. That actually, if I had the chance to interview or trial with the Lakers, you would drop anything else you have in the world and go and do the trial or do the thing, because it's the most important thing to you. If you're going for a job and it's a job that you're telling people that you really want, but you are not willing to adapt your flexibility or openness to interview, and it has to be very structured, you're actually sending a message to people saying, look, I don't really care about this that much. And actually what that's going to do is just give them a red flag to say, look, this person doesn't really care about the job. They're just looking for the sake of looking. And actually, if they really wanted it, they would, find a time that kind of works. But in terms of good things, if you can tailor your CV and or covering letter to basically for the job that you're looking for, that's really good. It shows that you've done your research, you've actually put some effort in, and you haven't just copy and pasted the same thing, blank it out to lots of different people. It shows actually that if you have related passions to what the industry is all about. So for instance, at some point in next year, we'll probably hire someone to help run all of the media stuff in here and edit videos and do a lot of stuff that I currently do. That actually what we'd be looking for is someone that actually in their own time loves video, creates short films, edits stuff, plays with stuff, whatever. But it shows that they're passionate on the topic. And that's really important. So for instance, if you're really into 3D printing or engineering or fixing cars or motorbikes or whatever, it actually says a lot about your character. And if that relates to the job, that's a major thumbs up. That's major plus. Actually doing your homework on the organization, actually read the stuff, get a feel for it, look at who works there, look on LinkedIn about where those people went to university and what their background is, and then actually relating to that when it comes to interview, ask questions, but ask pertinent questions in a way that then actually it shows that you've done your homework and it shows that you've cared. Because actually, if there are 4 candidates, they're all the same, but one really wants it and they've looked into the company and they know what works, you're going to pick that person, and actually that's really good. And then last but not least, don't ghost people. So is what's quite funny, and I've kind of learned this throughout my career, that multiple times I've been offered jobs with people from people I didn't expect for opportunities that didn't exist. Does that make sense? So basically, you never know who is looking, you never know who is tracking your progress and might want to offer you a job. That actually, if someone reaches out to you to start a conversation, to kind of test the water a little bit and see where you're at, they might have this fantastic idea in mind that could change your life. But actually, if you just ghost people because you're not sure why and you just don't really care and that kind of thing, it can actually hurt you in the long run. Likewise, if you're talking to someone, especially if they're more senior in the industry, so I've spoken to quite a few people recently, kind of stay in touch, because there's a chance that this person sees a fantastic role for you in their organization. But if you never respond to their messages and you just seem to ghost and disappear, that trust and that initial excitement to maybe one day let you run their company for them or give them the dream job or whichever, it's soon going to disappear through something as simple as ghosting. Because actually, I'm someone that likes to diligently, send messages and reply and work with people and get excited about stuff. That if someone just doesn't reply to messages for 2-3 weeks, I kind of lose that excitement. But the point is, it's a red flag that if you're talking to someone and they just ghost you and go kind of quiet, it's just something to kind of watch out on. So at 9:37, I think I'm going to call it quits there for today. I know we started earlier today, so I've been speaking for a while. But my name's Steve Pugh, so I'm founder and CEO of a business called Roadmap MBA. We're in 49 different countries now, and what we're looking to do is bring free business education and training to the world. That you can go onto roadmapmba.com, create an account completely for free, And what we're looking to do is help support your learning and development and actually help guide you with the roadmap to help you grow your business or career as well. So thank you for your time. Have a wonderful Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. You're more than welcome to join any of the live drop-in sessions. We have 12 o'clock today, and also I've got a private client thing at 1 o'clock. And actually just have a great weekend, kind of following your dreams as well. So my name's Steve. Thank you for your time today, and I'll see you soon. All right, cheers guys. Bye-bye.